I think that we've made a good headway on trying to explain how the apps work and how problematic use can cause various types of difficulties and harms to teenagers and younger. As we move into next week, we want to tie the companies down more. We're going to bring some whistleblowers who will testify as well, and we anticipate putting on some good evidence next week. We think that we'll get some important testimony that the public hasn't heard before.
The attorney representing the plaintiff in the social media addiction trial underway in Los Angeles, giving a preview of what he plans to present when court resumes this week. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg is expected to testify on Wednesday, along with some Meta whistleblowers. A psychiatrist testified on Friday that people can get addicted to social media platforms, adding that social media can amplify mental health issues like anxiety and depression. Earlier, the head of Instagram testified that users could not get addicted to the platform. Meanwhile, more parents are sounding the alarm. Health advocate Jillian Michaels wrote an op-ed for Fox News comparing big tech to tobacco, warning, quote, "Our kids are hooked." She argued that platforms deliberately deploy intermittent variable rewards, the same psychological mechanism that makes slot machines addictive. When a child refreshes their feed, they do not know what they will get, and that uncertainty triggers dopamine, training the brain to keep pulling the lever. Michaels also cited experts' recommendation for how to keep kids safe. Deploy smartphones as long as possible, disable autoplay and push notifications, explain the manipulation, and support litigation and legislation demanding a real duty of care. Donna, when I look at this case and how it's going, I see that the attorneys for Meta, they said to the expert for the plaintiffs, the committee recognized that studies showing that a social media exposure preceded changes in mental health of well-being are not necessarily evidence that social media causes the change. And the expert for the plaintiff agreed with that. So this causation is going to be key.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. And I think what we're seeing here, and I think what we're going to learn most from are these whistleblowers. And I think there's a lot of memos, internal memos that we're going to see. And what the issue is did Meta, Google, all of these companies know or believe to know that this would be addictive, and what were they doing to foster that addiction? And I think that we're going to see that. And I agree with Jillian, similar to tobacco. I think I said that the other day. I also said the Sackler industry with OxyContin. You know, they knew that it was addictive. They said that it wasn't. They told doctors to double the dose. And then in internal memos, we found out that they knew it was going to be addictive. So I think that's what some of this is going to come down to, is the knowledge. And if there was knowledge that this could happen, and then what they're doing to hook them in even more can be the issue. So I think that's what we're going to see here. So we'll see as they testify. Part of me wonders if there's going to be a settlement before Mark Zuckerberg takes the stand on Wednesday.
Interesting. Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. We know 2 other companies settled in advance. Yes. You know, one of the things that the head of Instagram said that I did find interesting, he said, we are trying to be as safe as possible, but also censor as little as possible. Not censoring and being as safe as possible sometimes are at odds with one another. So there really is conflicting interest for these companies.
Yeah, and I've noticed, by the way, I don't know about you guys, but I've been flooded in my feed, and I don't even have kids, with alerts from Instagram about protecting children. So they are embarking as well on a PR montage at this moment, too. I think the but-for argument, though, is strong here. But for this product design, these kids would not have been addicted. Remember, and we talked about this before, that defense is really hanging on those concrete diagnoses. They're saying, well, a doctor didn't diagnose you with addiction. So they're sort of taking a textbook, bright line rule approach. But the reality is that every single American understands the addictive nature of social media and the ubiquitousness of it. So everyone in that jury box, I think, is going to look with compassion at these kids and say, yes, we get it. They had their nose in the screen all day, every day, and you're trying to say, oh, we didn't know, it's not addictive, nothing to see here. I think that the don't believe your lying eyes is a really big thing at play here. And finally, remember we talked about with the settling out, it means that, for example, YouTube said, oh, just 1 minute a day. She was on 1 minute a day. But the plaintiff sees this in a holistic fashion. This is why oftentimes strategy on behalf of defendants is to separate themselves, to have bifurcated trials, because it behooves them, because the jury is sitting there saying, like, wait, you weren't the one in the door? Okay, no, you're fine. So From the plaintiff's point of view, it is a 360-degree amount of responsibility and sort of onslaught that these kids were subjected to. But these defense attorneys are going to say, look, YouTube, it was just a little bit of day. It's just a portion. I'm just a slice of the pie. But when you take it in totality, that's when you realize, as all of us, we sort of lump all of social media in together. So I see that as a bit of a challenge in that perhaps these defense can say, look, we were only there for part of the time. But again, if they see it with that sort of larger concentration view, they'll see, yeah, but she was inundated with social media writ large all day. And final point, remember when Mark Zuckerberg testified in front of Congress and we saw his little sticky over his camera? So let's see what things he shows when he's in trial here. If he does testify, if it goes that far, is he going to say how his kids aren't allowed to have social media, I wonder?
Yeah, and Paul, litigation's a big part of this, but also to Julian Michaels' final point, so is legislation. This has got to a point where you have Section 230 shielding these companies, at least in part. You have this huge, huge problem with young people. It's time for Congress to act, too.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I'm going to cut against things here a little bit just to make myself unpopular because
Love it.
I don't like the impulse to vilify successful corporations, and there's some of that here. Now, it's kids. And that's the metric that I think it complicates it, right? But, the bottom line is that business in America, in an open society, a capitalist society, the idea is to get customers. And that's what they're doing. And, you could make similar arguments about all forms of entertainment, even the idea of how you program television and keeping a popular show, the next show then gains from that popular show, et cetera, et cetera. You're trying to keep eyeballs. That said,
but there's ratings. There's ratings on those things.
The kids, though, to me, is where you have the problem. And so where I come out on this is the following. I have ambivalence, as you can hear. I think also that aside from the causation, the damages here, how are you going to calculate the damage? What do you give everybody who's been on this thing, who, let's say you were on it for 10 years, because we've had it for a while. Now you're an adult, but you had it as a kid. Do you get $1,000 a year? What is that class going to look like? I think the best result here would be metrics put in place that are defensive going forward. That is to say, mitigation strategy for kids, things that you have to prove your age. We already see some of that. Things where you have to prove your age, things that come with warnings, et cetera. But I got to tell you who is conspicuously absent in all of this discussion are the parents. And there's an abdication here of raising kids. I've handed them over to the screen. I've handed them over to the government. And now I'm complaining that you guys are not doing a good enough job. I know a lot of parents who keep a close eye on their kids' screen time, and it works. It can work. So, as I said, I got some ambivalence about this. I think it can be fixed. I'm not sure trillions of dollars dispersed to all the users is necessarily a just outcome.
Yeah, and to that point, Roseanne, I always say www. Stands for Wild Wild West. Like when your child gets on there, that's what it is.
And no matter what you try to do, I disagree with Paul. I think parents have a real fight against these billion-dollar companies. And if you look at America versus Europe, in Europe, they're already taking action. I don't know, why is America like the last one lately? We're finding out that, Europe has banned all this food coloring for years in their food supply, and we're just getting on board maybe by sometime this year. And now we're finding out that Europe is already banning certain things. For example, France, they law approved to ban children under 15 from using social media. Okay? Portugal, Parliament approved a bill requiring parental consent for ages 13 to 16, barring under 13 entirely. Germany, major political parties are coalescing around proposals to block access for those under 14. United Kingdom, the government is consulting on banning under 16 from social media. It's happening in Europe. America's got to get on board. We're starting to see, like, schools in New York City taking phones away from kids while they're in school. And guess what? They're talking to one another. They're actually listening to what the teacher has to say. There's no distraction.
It's a great point. And Europe was ahead of us on the trans issue, too.
Europe. So, listen, remember, America innovates, China imitates, Europe regulates.
Yeah. Well, interesting point.
Wisdom.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.